The silence at the dinner table was suffocating. Sienna Ashford, the girl who had made Amara's high school years a living hell, was staring at her with her mouth open. Her father, a billionaire real estate mogul, was holding Amara's hand.
Dad, do you have any idea who this is?
Amara squeezed Gabriel Ashford's hand and smiled. She had waited 6 years, planned every detail, and transformed herself into the perfect woman just for this moment.
She looked the girl who once made her bleed right in the eyes.
Nice to meet you, Sienna. I'm your new stepmother.
Amara thought she had won. She thought she had destroyed her. But she made one fatal mistake.
She underestimated just how dangerous Sienna Ashford really was. If you've ever wanted to watch someone's past catch up to them
In the most devastating way possible, stay close. This one cuts deep.
Thornhill Academy sat on 12 acres of manicured privilege, where the children of old money learned Latin.
And the children of new money learned how to pretend they belonged. Amara
Welcome,
arrived
my
there
dear.
at
Please come
14
in.
with a full scholarship, one battered suitcase, and the kind of hunger that comes from watching your mother choose between rent and dinner too many times. She was brilliant, the kind of brilliant that made teachers lean forward when she spoke.
That earned her perfect scores without trying, that should have made her untouchable. Instead, it made her a target.
Because at Thornhill, being smart without being rich was the worst kind of arrogance. And Sienna Ashford,
Golden-haired, sharp-tongued, and raised by a father too busy building empires to notice she was crumbling, decided Amara needed to learn her place. The first time Sienna made Amara bleed, it was over a borrowed blazer. Amara's uniform had torn during gym class, and a kind teacher had lent her a spare.
What is wrong?
Sienna noticed immediately.
Is that mine?
She'd asked, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Amara had replied,
No, it's from the... It looks like mine. I lost one last. Did you steal it? I didn't. Take it off, now!
Amara's hands had trembled as she unbuttoned the blazer in the middle of the crowded hallway,
Her thin undershirt doing nothing to hide the shame burning across her skin. Sienna had taken the blazer, examined it with exaggerated scrutiny, then tossed it into a nearby trash bin. The hallway had erupted in laughter.
Keep it! It smells like Pavati.
And Amara had stood there, half-dressed and shaking, learning what it meant to be powerless in a world that worshipped wealth.
The bullying escalated over the next 3 years. Sienna's cruelty was an art form, calculated, public, designed to humiliate without leaving evidence. She'd accidentally lock Amara in supply closets. She'd spread rumors about Amara and her unconventional methods for better grades, raising eyebrows among her classmates. She'd steal Amara's assignments and submit them as her own. But the worst came during senior year. Amara had been nominated for the Thornhill Excellence Award Personed, a prestigious honor that came with a $50,000 college scholarship. It was the kind of recognition that could change her life. Sienna made sure she never got it. She hacked into Amara's email, found a draft of a personal essay Amara had written about growing up poor, and leaked it to the entire school with a subject line that read, "Poverty Pern for college applications." The essay went viral within the Thornhill community. Students mocked it. Parents whispered about it.
The scholarship committee quietly withdrew Amara's nomination without explanation.
Amara had locked herself in a bathroom stall and cried until her throat was raw. And that was the moment she stopped being afraid.
That was the moment she started planning. If you're still here, you already know this isn't just about bullying. Like the video if you're ready to see how far revenge can go. Graduation came and went. Amara earned a full scholarship to Ashford University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the country.
She should have been terrified to learn that Sienna Ashford would be attending the same university. Instead, she smiled, because this time, She had a plan. Amara spent the summer before university doing research. She learned everything there was to know about Sienna Ashford's family. Her mother, Celeste Ashford, had left when Sienna was 7, walked out in the middle of the night, and never looked back. Her father, Gabriel Ashford, was a real estate mogul worth 9 figures, 52, divorced, emotionally unavailable,
And most importantly, single. Amara stared at his photograph, strong jaw, kind eyes,
tired smile, and felt something shift inside her chest, not attraction.
strategy.
She researched his habits, his favorite restaurants.
His charitable causes. She learned he had a weakness for intelligent conversation and classical music. She discovered he volunteered at a youth mentorship program every other Saturday. Knowledge, Amara had learned, was the only currency that mattered when you had nothing else. The first time Amara accidentally met Gabriel Ashford was at a university donor event in late September.
She'd volunteered to serve hors d'oeuvres, knowing he'd be there. And she'd worn a simple black dress, elegant, modest, nothing that screamed desperation. And when she'd refilled his champagne glass, she'd smiled and said,
Mr. Ashford, I've read about your work in sustainable urban development. The project in Baltimore was particularly inspiring.
He'd blinked, surprised that a server had studied his work in detail.
You know about Baltimore?
I wrote a paper on it, Equitable Housing Development in Post-Industrial Cities. Your model should be replicated nationwide.
His eyes had lit up to Riff, the look of a man who'd spent years being valued for his money and finally found someone who valued his mind. They'd talked for 20 minutes, and when he'd asked for her name, she'd given it without hesitation. Amara Okafor. He didn't recognize it. Why would he? Sienna had never mentioned her by name, only as that scholarship girl. But he remembered her. Their second meeting was at a bookstore. Amara had learned his routine. He stopped by every Thursday evening to browse the architecture section, always alone, always for exactly 30 minutes.
She'd positioned herself nearby, reading a book on post-colonial urban planning, waiting.
When he'd walked past, she'd looked up and smiled.
Mr. Ashford, what a coincidence.
Amara, are you following me?
Only in the metaphorical sense. I'm stalking knowledge, not people. He'd laughed too, and it had sounded rusty, like he didn't do it often. By the time the bookstore closed,
Would you like to grab a
he'd
coffee?
asked if she wanted to
The
get
bookstore
coffee.
is closing soon.
She'd said yes,
I'd like that.
and she'd made sure to mention
Casually, that she'd lost her father when she was young. The sympathy in his eyes had been immediate, genuine. Perfect. Gabriel Ashford fell in love the way lonely men do. Quickly, desperately, and without asking too many questions. Amara
gets
was
difficult
brilliant,
sometimes,
yes,
you know,
but she was also
The
kind,
weight of the company,
patient.
the
She
decisions.
listened when he spoke
It
about
can
the
be quite
pressures
heavy.
of running a company.
the
hardest
weight
part
of
is
being
the
a
guilt.
single father,
You always
the
feel like
guilt
you're
of
falling
never
short,
quite being
that you're
enough.
never quite enough for them.
She never pushed, never demanded, never made him feel inadequate.
And within 6 months, he proposed. Amara said yes.
Without hesitation, not because she loved him, though she'd learned to care for him in the way you care for someone who's kind to you when the world isn't. But because the moment she'd been waiting for was finally here. Gabriel wanted to tell Sienna in person.
all right.
A
I
family
promise I'll
dinner,
tell you.
he'd said.
Face bright
want
with
you to
hope,
meet her
Sienna
properly
had
at
rolled her
family
eyes
dinner.
but agreed. She assumed her father had found some vapid socialite to fill the void her mother left.
She had no idea who was walking through the door. But what Amara didn't know, what she couldn't have anticipated,
Was that Sienna had been waiting for this moment too. The restaurant Gabriel chose was expensive and intimate, the kind of place where senators proposed to mistresses and celebrities hid from paparazzi. Sienna arrived 15 minutes late, scrolling through her phone.
Sienna, darling, I'd like you to meet someone very special. This is Amara, my fiancée.
Sienna's head snapped up, and the phone slipped from her hand, clattering onto the table.
Because standing beside her father, wearing a cream silk blouse and a smile sharper than any knife,
Was Amara Okafor, the scholarship girl, the nobody,
the ghost from Thornhill Academy she'd buried 6 years ago. And on her finger was a diamond the size of Sienna's shame.
The silence stretched like a wire pulled too tight. Gabriel, oblivious, smiled.
Sienna, are you alright?
You can't be serious, Dad.
I know this is sudden, but Amara and I...
Dad, do you have any idea who this is? We went to the same high school, didn't we, Sienna? Though I suppose I was easy to forget. You planned this.
You manipulative little...
Sienna, that's enough.
She's using you. She doesn't love you. She's getting back at me.
Gabriel looked between them, confusion clouding his features.
Getting back at you for what?
Amara leaned forward, her voice soft and devastating.
Sienna's right, Gabriel. We do have history. She was actually very memorable at Thornhill, and I'm sure she'd love to tell you all about it.
Sienna's face went white. Gabriel looked at his daughter with something that might have been disappointment.
Sienna, I think you owe Amara an apology.
Are you kidding me? She played you. She seduced you to get to me.
That's a serious accusation. Then prove it.
And that's when Sienna smiled. It was a terrible smile, cold and calculated, and Amara felt her stomach drop.
Actually, Dad, I can. You remember that private investigator you hired last year? I hired him too, 3 months ago. I wanted to make sure she wasn't after your money. And guess what I found? Months of research, internet searches about our family, screenshots of your schedule, your routine, all dated before your first accidental meeting. Gabriel's face went pale as he scrolled through the evidence.
She didn't fall in love with you, Dad. She hunted you.
The silence that followed was suffocating. Gabriel's hands trembled as he set the phone down. He asked, his
Is this
voice
true?
barely a whisper. Amara wanted to lie, but she couldn't.
Yes.
I trusted you.
Gabriel!
Please,
Gabriel, please.
don't. Just don't.
He walked out without looking back. And Sienna sat across from Amara, her smile victorious.
Did you really think I wouldn't see you coming? You destroyed mine first. And you think that makes us even? You used him like a pawn. At least when I hurt you, I was honest about it. You were a monster. And what does that make you?
If this story is gripping you, subscribe. Because what happens next will shatter everything you think you know.
Amara left with tears streaming down her face. She'd lost. Worse, she'd become exactly what Sienna had always said she was. But as she sat in her car, her phone buzzed. A text from Gabriel. I need to see you. Tomorrow, my office, noon, please. When she walked into his office the next day, he was standing by the window.
I'm sorry for everything.
I spoke to Sienna last. She told me everything. What she did to you at Thornhill. The bullying, the cruelty.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because it would have sounded like an excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's context.
What you did was a mistake. But what she did to you felt like cruelty.
So what happens now?
I don't know. I'm angry. I'm hurt. But I also understand why you did it.
They'd been sitting in his study weeks later when Amara confessed something she'd been hiding even from herself.
I need to tell you something.
Amara had said.
I know it sounds crazy.
She told him about
but
the
somewhere
moment
between the debate
3
and
months
the
into their
late-night
relationship
talks,
ring,
I realized
when the
I was
revenge had
falling
stopped
for you.
mattering.
It happened slowly.
When she'd started waking up, and her first thought wasn't, how do I use him, but how is he doing?
When she'd realized, with horror, that somewhere along the way she'd actually fallen in love with him.
But I can't untangle what's real from what I built. And neither can you.
When she finished, he'd asked one question.
If I asked you to stay away, to try to rebuild this file, would you?
Yes, God help me, yes.
Then stay.
I can't.
She'd shaken her head,
because
tears
Sienna will
streaming.
never forgive this.
And you'll lose your daughter trying to hold on to me. I won't be the reason you lose her too.
And she'd walked away from the only man who'd ever loved her without conditions. Sienna never spoke to her father about Amara again, but something shifted between them. Gabriel started asking questions he should have asked years ago.
You abandoned me when I
And
was
slowly,
little.
painfully,
I turned that
Sienna
pain
began
into
to
power,
crack
and now I
open.
make people feel less of
She told
themselves.
him about the abandonment,
Sorry.
the way she'd turned her
know I
pain
haven't
into
been there
power
for
by
you.
making others feel
I
small.
regret not being a better
And
father.
Gabriel wept for the daughter he'd failed to see clearly until a stranger forced him to look. He also told Sienna something she'd never known. That her mother hadn't left because of her. Celeste had been battling severe mental illness.
Left us.
And in a manic episode, she disappeared. They'd found her body 3 years later. Overdose.
Gabriel had never told Sienna because he thought he was protecting her. Instead, he'd let her believe she'd been abandoned.
Amara never returned to Ashford University. She transferred across the country, finished her degree, built a career far from the wreckage.
Years later, she'd receive a letter from Sienna. I was cruel. I was broken. And I'm sorry. You didn't deserve what I did. And my father didn't deserve what you did either. But maybe we both needed to destroy each other to finally see what we'd become. I'm in therapy now. I think part of him is still waiting. But I know you won't come back. Some love stories aren't meant to have happy endings. They're just meant to teach us what we're capable of. Amara never responded, but she kept the letter. 3 years later, she received a wedding invitation.
Sienna Ashford was getting married, and at the bottom, in handwriting, she recognized, "He still keeps your picture."
In his wallet. Thought you should know. S. Amara RSVP'd yes. The wedding was beautiful. And when Amara walked into the reception, Gabriel was standing by the bar. He turned. Their eyes met. He crossed the room slowly.
You came.
I almost didn't.
I'm glad you did.
I'm sorry for everything.
I know, so am I.
Do you ever wonder?
Every day. But wondering isn't the same as regretting.
He
I
pulled
kept
out a
it
photograph.
to remind myself
one from
that
the
not
bookstore.
all beautiful things are meant to last.
Some are just meant to teach us how to be better.
And then Sienna was there, smiling at Amara with something that almost looked like forgiveness.
Thank you for coming.
I
She
knew the
said.
red and gold would be
They stood
magnificent,
there,
but you two
3
completely
people
outshined
bound
the
by
decor.
pain and revenge and the messy work of trying to be better.
And when Amara left, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. And if someone you know needs to hear this, send it. Forgiveness is hard, but bitterness is harder. Because some people hurt you so badly, you become someone you don't recognize just to hurt them back. And sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to your enemy is make them realize they were never worth becoming a monster for. But maybe, just maybe, monsters can learn to be human again.